Thank you very much. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item this evening is a presentation. This relates to participants in the 2010 BC Senior Games. We have a small slideshow presentation in order to recognize them.
Thank you very much. I invited a number of our athletes from the BC Senior Games this summer to drop by Council Chambers so Council could acknowledge them. And on behalf of Council and the City of Coquitlam, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate the Coquitlam residents who participated in the 2010 BC Senior Games. This year's games were held in Comox Valley and Campbell River from September 15th to 18th, and they saw 3,300 participants aged 55 plus from all across the province. Several dozen Coquitlam residents and pavilion members were part of the Fraser Valley Zone 3 team, which came in second overall with 152 gold medals, 125 silver medals, and 92 bronze medals for a total of 369 medals, which was far better than the United States did in the Olympics. City Council would like to applaud the efforts of all of our participants at the Games, whether they won a medal or not. They are champions for working hard to achieve their goals. Their commitment to active living makes them all leaders in action and contributes to making Coquitlam a healthier community. We encourage them all to continue moving toward their goals of self-improvement and personal wellness. Many of our participants encourage others to get involved in the BC Senior Games or to get more active in retirement. And for many retired people, the BC Senior Games is a first step to competing provincially. The social aspect and camaraderie is one of the Games' benefits, and most participants encourage others to try, if only because it's a lot of fun. The City of Coquitlam will continue to support the efforts of our residents of all ages to stay active and healthy, and we congratulate them all again on their achievements. So those Seniors Games athletes who are here tonight, we'd ask you to please stand so we can recognize your outstanding achievements. And if you could turn to face the camera. We certainly look forward to seeing you all participate at next year's Games, to be hosted by West Kootenay in September of 2011, and as part of the promotion for that, we wanted to take a photo. We see Ron's over there, and if you would come forward, the athletes come forward. We're going to have Council standing with you because we're athletic as well. And we're going to take a quick photo, if that's okay. Come forward, please. Council. Right up this way. Over this way? Sure. It's going to be in front of the camera, in front of the flag. You got to be in the front. Yeah. Come on in, please. Ron will set it up. You're right in the truck. No, he's double gold, single gold. This guy has won 287 bucks. 287 Really? 287 medals.
Come on.
He's been doing this for a while. Yeah.
We're going to take a few different shots.
Okay.
Trepidation, doesn't she?
There's a lot of guys in their voice along upstairs. Put them in your place.
Come this way here. Everybody look back over here.
Right in the front to get up.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
Okay, look athletic, everyone. The old beat.
Okay, I'm just going to step behind here and I'll take one last couple. Set.
Can we get a copy of the picture?
Yes, sir.
It's just you.
Now, before Les sits down, Les, could you wave your hand so the cameraman can identify you there? Les Robson, I did want to point this out. Les Robson has a career total of 286 medals. 286 medals. He's been competing at this for more than one games. and we certainly encourage him to keep on going for a couple more decades. Thank you very much for representing City of Coquitlam. And I challenge any council members who are eligible to enter next year's games. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Worship. Item 2 concerns our second presentation. I'd like to invite Ms. Colleen Talbot, who's chair of the Coquitlam Foundation, to come forward and provide an update on activities, services, and National Philanthropy Day.
Thank you. Just to start, I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity for the Foundation to come forward tonight to talk to you, and also for the ongoing support of the council members and also the staff to the Foundation over the years. So first, I'd like to start by introducing the members of our board who are here tonight. Our Vice Chair, Julie Fisher, and Mayor Richard Stewart, of course. Our Secretary, Janet Toddington, Sam Nakai, Wim van der Zam, Fred Sufi, Terry O'Neill, and Ron Grender. Not able to join us tonight are our Treasurer, Bob Tanaka, Diane Sowden, and Ron Roberge. So thank you very much for allowing us to come. I'd like to invite Terry and Julie to come forward now to continue the presentation.
Welcome, Terry and Julie.
Thank you. And I think we forgot Janet Toddingham as well. Was she mentioned? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I missed that. Good evening. This is the third time the Coquitlam Foundation has addressed Coquitlam Council to mark National Philanthropy Day. But it's actually the first time our appearance here has coincided exactly with the big day itself, which is staged annually on November 15. For almost 20 years now, hundreds of communities across North America have come together on this day to recognize the countless ways philanthropy has affected our world for the better. National Philanthropy Day is celebrated by numerous fundraisers, government leaders, businesses, and individuals who wish to honor all the contributions philanthropy has made. The day provides an opportunity to reflect on the meaning of giving and all that it has accomplished, as well as what there still is to do. Which brings us to the good work of the Coquitlam Foundation. Julie?
Thank you, Terry. We have a PowerPoint up behind you. I'm not sure if you can all see it.
We actually have a screen in front of each one of us. So
okay,
we're good.
Gotcha. The Coquitlam Foundation is a catalyst and resource for philanthropy in Coquitlam. The vision is to provide philanthropic leadership to enhance or improve the quality of life for the residents of Coquitlam. This is accomplished by promoting and focusing charitable giving within the community and providing a vehicle that connects donors to the community and to charities operating within this community.
Now, we're a non-profit corporation established in 1992 by an act of the BC legislature. The objects of the foundation are set out in our act, which are to use the donations entrusted to it for charitable purposes, including providing for needy persons, particularly sick, aged, destitute, and helpless, promoting the betterment of the underprivileged, disadvantaged, or delinquent persons, promoting educational advancement and scientific or medical research for the increase of human knowledge and the alleviation of human suffering. Finally, promoting recreational activities and the conservation of human heritage or natural resources, and providing for such cultural, educational, or other charitable purposes as may be desirable.
The work or reach of the foundation is to benefit primarily the residents of Coquitlam within Coquitlam's boundaries. The foundation has established a number of funds to enable donors to address a wide spectrum of need in the community by targeting their donation. These funds include the Heritage Fund, Educational Fund, Community Wellness Fund, Arts and Culture, the Land Trust Fund, and the Environment Fund. The foundation also enables I can't go back.
Okay, that's fine. Well, the foundation also enables corporations, societies, and individuals to establish their own fund in their own name, in the name of a loved one or a particular cause or program. Now, recent examples of these funds include the Mayor's Community Fund. Where are we now?
Now we're in.
Okay, which was established in 2010 by Mayor Richard Stewart, who also sits on our board. The fund has two goals: to assist needy Coquitlam students and to distribute grants to institutions or organizations undertaking projects or work. Also, we have the Symington Endowment Fund, established in 2009 by Vivian Symington, and that was announced right here last year, at this a year ago. She's the owner of Club Aviva and the Empowering Steps Movement Therapy Program. The fund is designed to assist children living with autism and other mobility challenges through grants and bursaries for one-on-one therapy and summer camp programs. This fund also assists athletes who enrolled in competitive gymnastics programs and in youth at-risk programs through the Tri-Cities.
The Carly Ray Leclerc Memorial Fund, established in 2008, commemorates the life of Carly Leclerc, who was born and raised in Coquitlam, diagnosed with type 1 juvenile diabetes at age 16, battled for 8 years until she passed away on her 24th birthday. That fund provides financial assistance for counseling, treatment, or education to young people between 12 and 25 who suffer from life-altering medical conditions. The intention in particular is with type 1 diabetes. The Coquitlam Metro Ford Dominic Mobilio Bursary Fund, established in 2007 to commemorate the life of Dominic Mobilio, who demonstrated exemplary leadership skills to the soccer club in his lifetime. The fund awards 2 bursaries annually to club members under 23 years of age to assist them in pursuing post-secondary education.
Now, how do we go about doing all this work? Well, the foundation manages and invests the funds held by them to help them grow together. It seeks out grant, scholarship, and bursary applicants to apply for funding from the various funds. The foundation also provides assistance and guidance to the individual fund holders in achieving their fundraising and granting goals. And the foundation applies for funding to meet its objectives, and also fundraises for the operations and funds or fundraises in partnership with others. The foundation will also partner with other foundations, societies, or charities to help achieve common goals.
So the results: in the 18 years since the founding, fund holders, donors, and volunteers have built an endowment portfolio totaled $1.7 million at the end of June, an increase of $150,000 in 1 year. Since 1992, we have distributed about $600,000 to individuals and organizations in the community. The funds were generated primarily from the earnings on the endowments, but also from direct fundraising by the foundation. At the Grants and Awards Night this past April 14th at Evergreen, the foundation and our fund holders distributed more than $50,000 in grants and scholarships and bursaries. The recipients included the list you see there: Coastal Sound Music, Evergreen Cultural Center, Theatrics, Children of the Street, Arts Connect, and so on. Quite a large group of need. And here's a nice photo of them.
Right. Now, I'll click there. Also, 6 bursaries were handed out from the foundation funds to students, and 2 scholarships were handed out by the fund holders for the Raymond A. Leclerc Memorial Scholarship and the CMLA Brody Campbell Memorial Scholarship. I think we have a picture of some of the winners there. Now, we also had recently a fall gala. That was on October 22nd at the Red Robinson Theatre. It was a laugh out loud theme. It featured a reception, a silent auction, and premium seats to comic Stephen Wright's show. Looking ahead, we're already planning next year's activities. One of the highlights will be our partnering with Douglas College Foundation to help stage a tasting event on May 14th of next year, hosted by the Coquitlam Centre. This is sure to be an exciting new event, so stay tuned for more details and mark your calendar. You'll also want to mark your calendar for our annual awards celebration evening, which will take place just a few weeks after that tasting event on May 24th of 2011 at the Evergreen Cultural Centre, featuring entertainment by Coastal Sound Music Academy.
So keep us in mind if you're interested in volunteering for a committee or helping out at an event. We look for applications for board appointment. If you know anyone that you'd like to put forward to us, you can come and join us at our Grants and Awards night. Again, it's in May of next year. Our AGM's in September. Our gala's in the fall. And other events. You can also become a donor or donate an auction item, and most importantly, spread the word. We're trying to raise awareness about the Coquitlam Foundation, and this is our second year here, and it's actually helped a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You have a website, I believe. What's the name of that website?
www.coquitlamfoundation.com.
There you go. And on that, I'm sure people can find all kinds of information about planned giving and setting up a fund, or simply contributing to some of the funds and some of the good work that you do. So we certainly thank you on behalf of, City Council for the ongoing work the Coquitlam Foundation does in our community and for the grants that you give. I know Councillor Doug McDonnell, for example, was instrumental in the setting up of the Dominic Mobilio Fund with the Coquitlam Metro Forward Soccer. And it's funds like that that do great work in the community, but they wouldn't be able to be done without that overarching body, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, I should quickly point out that it's completely against our procedures to clap during a council meeting. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 3 is the minutes of the regular council meeting held Monday, November 1st. Recommendations to approve those minutes.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor Robinson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you all for coming.
Item 4 is the minutes of the Strategic Priorities Administration Protective Services Standing Committee meeting of November 8th. Recommendations to receive those minutes.
Moved by Councillor Asmunson, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 5 is also the minutes of the Strategic Priorities Administration Protective Services Standing Committee. This is of their meeting of November 9th. Recommendations to receive those minutes.
Moved by Councillor Lynch, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Item 6 is the minutes of the Land Use and Economic Development Standing Committee meeting of Monday, November 8th. Recommendations to receive those minutes.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Lynch. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
First item of business arising out of that committee's meeting concerns the authorization for the issuance of a development's variance permit for 3368 David Avenue. Prior to reading the recommendation, I would ask the chair to call for speakers.
This is our procedure here. We run a mini public hearing. Are there any speakers to this item? This is a development variance permit. Are there any speakers to this item? Third and final time. Any speakers to this item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Recommendations to approve the signing and sealing of the DVP for 3368 David Avenue, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute it.
Moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor Lynch. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
6.3 is a preliminary report on an application for zoning amendment bylaw 4160, and it pertains to 365 and 369 Mundy Street. Recommendations that council give first reading to City of Coquitlam zoning amendment bylaw 4160, and that this bylaw and its related application, or this bylaw, be referred to public hearing.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor McDonnell. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 6.4 is a preliminary report and application for zoning amendment bylaw 4161 and the 5% park dedication provisions for proposed subdivision at 1415 Coast Meridian. Recommendations that council give first reading to City of Coquitlam zoning amendment bylaw 4161, that bylaw 461 and its related application be referred to public hearing, and that council require the owner of the proposed subdivision to provide 5% cash in lieu.
Moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor Reamer. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 6.6 pertains to School District 43 and its 2010 eligible school sites proposal. The recommendation is to accept the school district's proposal as submitted.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor Nicholson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 6.7 relates to Maillardville core commercial area. It's the potential development incentives. The four-part recommendation is that Council directs staff to prepare a revitalization tax exemption program bylaw for the Maillardville core commercial area. Direct staff to review the density provisions for the C5 zone in the Maillardville core commercial area as part of Phase 2 of the neighborhood development plan. Direct staff to review the current density provisions in the core area through a second phase of Maillardville neighborhood plan, including consideration of larger issues. And 4, continue to consider the merits of rezoning applications and variances to the commercial and residential parking requirements in the core commercial area.
Move the recommendation. Second.
Moved by Councillor Nicholson, second by Councillor Reamer. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 7 is a report of the Deputy City Manager. It pertains to the Great British Columbia ShakeOut earthquake drill scheduled for January 26, 2011. Recommendations that Council approve the city's participation in this drill.
Moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor Lynch. Is this going to be controversial? I gather not. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 8 pertains to an expanded notification area for the citywide official community plan amendment bylaw 4166 and zoning amendment bylaw 4167 pertaining to 3030 Gordon Avenue. Recommendation is that Council approve the expanded notification area for the November 29th public hearing in relation to this application at 3030 Gordon to the area identified in attachment 1 of the report.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor Nicholson. Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Just on this, we also at Land Use had asked for additional information on certain questions we had for 3030 Gordon. Have they been sent to us or anything yet? Yes? Because I don't have them yet. Okay, and also information from CN or CP, the train people. Have you got information on that as well?
Worship, sorry, pushed the wrong
Mr.
button.
McIntyre.
Good evening. Yes, there has been some follow-up, and I'll make sure that all council receives that. But what we're doing, that's correct, there was a number of questions that came out of Land Use Standing Committee meeting last Monday. What we're trying to do is receive that information, confirm it, and we'll have it in the public hearing brief. So we'll have it in advance of, we'll try to get out the Thursday before the weekend of the public hearing. So you'll have it.
And that's the important part. I just wanted to get that out, Mr. Mayor, but also the qualifications for the person who will be running it, I guess, which would be denoted in the RFP. They will also be part of the package so that everyone will be very clear about where we're going with this.
That's correct, Your Worship. We've been busy speaking with a number of people at BC Housing, plus collecting information on that. So we'll have, I'm sure we'll have a complete catalog.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And for clarity, that would be Canadian Pacific Railway. Any other comments, discussion? Seeing none. Motion is the approval of the expanded notification area. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 9 pertains to North Fraser Perimeter Road, Phase 1, United Boulevard Extension Project. The recommendation is that Council publicly support TransLink Extension Project, including replacement of the single-lane Bailey Bridge with a 4-lane bridge, the construction of the United Boulevard Extension, including provisions for vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians, with a grade-separated connection at Brunette. Support in principle the North Fraser Perimeter Road Implementation Plan that schedules the completion of Phase 1 by 2014 and a 4-laning of Brunette Avenue by 2018, and request the province to implement the improvements at the Brunette interchange in order to enhance pedestrian cycling facilities across Highway 1, as well as measures aimed at mitigating congestion on Brunette and Loig Highway so as to safeguard the livability, accessibility, and economic viability of Maillardville and other parts of Coquitlam. That was it.
That was it? Sorry, it was moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor Lynch. Discussion. Councillor Reid.
I just wanted to say this has been some really extensive work done by our engineering department and also by, I guess, the engineering department in New Westminster. And between the two of them, I think they've done a superb job. This has been a long time coming, but it's certainly going to open up our area down on United Boulevard, and I just wanted to thank them because this is a nice piece of work. Thank you.
Absolutely. This one will make a big difference. Any other discussion? None. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 10 is a report of the City Clerk pertaining to the 2011 calendar of events and acting mayor schedule. Recommendations that Council approve the 2011 calendar of events and the acting mayor schedule.
Moved by Councillor McDonnell, seconded by Councillor Lynch. I have only one comment myself, and that relates to March. This year, the school board has adopted a 2-week spring break, just to make sure Council is aware, and that at least one of those weeks I probably won't be around, and it might not be the week that we've chosen. Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Yes, sorry, just to, not sure which week your worship has chosen, but the schedule has chosen one of the weeks, and that's the week of the 21st.
Okay, yeah, and it's that would be, I gather, most other regions' spring break, and it might be that some people choose to have the quieter spring break to go on holidays during that period. And
When is it exactly, Mr. Mayor?
the quieter spring break week would be the 28th through the 1st of April.
But it starts on the
It starts on the 20th. The spring break would, for this school district, start on the weekend of the 20th and go through the weekend of April the 2nd and 3rd. So it leaves a public hearing and some committees on a day right in the middle of a period of time that some families would have 2 weeks off.
Yes.
And at least one of us will be away. Okay? That's it. It is me, yes. Any other discussion? Seeing none. The motion is to approve the calendar of events. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 11 is also a report of the City Clerk's office, and it pertains to Records Administration Bylaw 4151. Recognitions that Council give first, second, and third readings to Records Administration Bylaw number 4151.
Moved by Councillor Reamer, second by Councillor Robinson. Did I get that wrong? Close enough. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Item 12 concerns the Metro Vancouver Board and Brief, for which our representatives are available to respond to questions. The recommendations that Council receive for information, the Metro Vancouver Board and Brief.
Move receipt.
Was there a motion? I didn't hear it, sir.
Yeah.
Motion receipt was moved by Councillor Robinson, second by Councillor McDonnell. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. I actually have 2 questions. I haven't had a chance to go through the Metro budget. I see it sitting in our council room up there, and it's, like this thick.
And that's a summary as well. That's just a summary.
And I just took a very brief look, and 5.8% increase is ginormous. It's like unbelievable. And one item, I think it was called strategic planning, went from $2 million and change to $8 million. And I'm just wondering if one of the directors can speak to that.
It actually is a flow-through item. There was a federal program that got voluntarily downloaded. It's housing. I don't know why it's listed in the budget under strategic planning delivery of a program. We asked the same question. It's $5.5 million in as revenue from the federal government, $5.5 million out as program delivery, and the budget appears to jump up, and therefore the 5.8% actually is an artificially high number for the administration side of things. A lot of concern has been raised over that, but there's perhaps more significant concern about the utility increases this year because they will have a bigger effect on the bottom line.
Like I said, I only had a chance to take a cursory look, and that was just what jumped out. So I have a second item that's not, it's Metro related, and I just wanted to hear from the directors who sit on Metro why Metro is hosting the RGS public hearing meeting on a Wednesday afternoon at 1 o'clock, middle of the week, when it's been an issue here in this community, and I've already started getting phone calls about why it is that people don't have access.
And in fact, we're in the same boat. I think most people are able to come in the evening. There was a request that at least one of the meetings ought to have a capacity to be in the afternoon for some people. I don't know why they chose the Coquitlam one, but we're actually now requesting of Metro to have the Coquitlam one. If you're going to have it start at 1 o'clock, have another session starting at 7 o'clock in the evening that evening. I've canceled my evening so that I could be there in case the chair isn't able to be there. The purpose, obviously, is to make it available to as many people as possible. I've been explaining on the phone, though, that because this is a public hearing at the Metro level, very few of the actual decision makers are at the public hearing. So your presentation is going to be summarized by staff and put in the minutes of the meeting. You're almost better to write, submit a written submission to the process than to appear at a public hearing in any case. But some people do feel more comfortable appearing to a public hearing, and so we're trying to get the one that's in the northeast sector to be in the evening as well as the afternoon, which would make it the most open of the four instead of perhaps right now the least available.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good questions. Oh, we've got Councillor Nicholson.
Thank you, Your Worship. A different aspect of the same topic. In the board in brief, we're told the board delegated the holding of that public hearing to the following directors of their alternatives, and there's a long list of mayors. You're the second one. But from everything I can gather, Metro staff have organized the public hearing, set the times. Exactly what does delegation of the public hearing to this list of mayors mean, effectively?
It means one of us has to go. Typically, we end up with at least one of the chair or vice chair. I'm the vice chair. Director Derek Corrigan, mayor of the city of Burnaby, is the chair. One of us ought to be there at each one of the meetings, and other members of the committee are invited to to attend at least one of the meetings, so that we can have a collection of the people on the regional growth or regional planning committee at each session of the public hearing, so that when the regional planning committee does get the opportunity to vote on this, it will have at least some idea of the verbal presentations, although they'll also have the summary of each of the verbal presentations. The challenge will be, though, that the actual vote, the vote that counts, if you will, is the Metro Vancouver Board of Directors vote to adopt this, and that isn't necessarily the same group of people. So you're right in questioning how these get delegated. It is simply the structure of Metro Vancouver that each one of these issues, from solid waste management plan, the regional growth strategy, all they get developed by a committee of Metro Vancouver, appointed by Metro Vancouver, and all of the detailed work, including the budget for that matter, gets worked through the finance committee. All of that detailed work, it happens at committee, and then Metro Vancouver Board gets presented with this. Each one of the Metro Vancouver Board members is unelected to that position. They are elected, of course, in their own position, in their own community, but their challenge is to try to grasp in that almost one day a week, or almost one day every 2 weeks, all of the incredible complexity of the regional growth strategy, the solid waste management plan, and such. These members here, at least, are on the regional planning committee, and that's how it got delegated to them.
Well, I had a couple of responses working their way through my mind while you were speaking, and I guess I'll give you the one that seems to me to most clearly make the point. If we were to behave as Metro Vancouver, then the upcoming public hearing on 3030 Gordon on the 29th of November, we would delegate to the members of the Land Use Committee, and the Land Use Committee would probably look around and say, that's okay, may you do it. And
who else?
Exactly. And the decision makers would not be there to hear. I'm glad we do it the way we do it, and not the way Metro does it. Thank you.
Well, fair enough. If we were to behave like Metro Vancouver, I think I'd quit. The challenge, of course, though, is if every member of the Board of Directors of Metro Vancouver was expected to be out of their community 5 nights a week during the public hearing process for every committee, obviously we wouldn't be able to do our work in our own community. So it's, I think, an expectation or an understanding that we are more detached from the work of Metro, which I know that Councillor Reid will raise as one of the big challenges. Councillor Sikora would raise it if he were here tonight. as one of the big challenges with Metro Vancouver. We're perhaps being asked to give more and more authority to Metro Vancouver to make decisions on our behalf, and the people that make those decisions are more and more detached from the residents who they're serving because of the very nature of a regional government. So, point well taken. I have the same concern. I know that there are lots of people around the Metro table that have the same concern, and it will undoubtedly be discussed as we get closer to adoption of a Metro regional growth strategy. Mr. McIntyre. Mr. McIntyre, our own planning director, is actually the chair of the technical version of that committee. Mr. McIntyre.
And I'm going to be out of town, so I won't be there. No, I just, if I could, Your Worship, just very briefly yes, actually, it stems from the legislation, and for the regional districts, they have that ability, because many of the regional districts in the province are quite large. The board has that ability to designate like a board director and members of that planning committee from that area, so the other directors don't have to travel 300 kilometers to go to a public hearing. And also, too, when you have a large initiative like this, where there's a series of public hearings around the regional district, it gives the directors in those areas that opportunity to go out and participate in their community. So there is a legislative background for it.
Thank you. I understand it completely, and it perhaps is one of the best arguments for regional governments doing only those things that are absolutely necessary for a regional government to do. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. And I assume by that you mean the development of a food strategy. Any other discussion on this? I think the motion is to receive. Is that on the floor right now?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. All in favor of to receive? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's the last formal item on the agenda.
I want to take the opportunity to thank all those people who were involved in the Remembrance Day service and ceremony. I know council members were able to participate very well in that, and it was partly due to the incredible improvements to the facility at Blue Mountain Park around our cenotaph. And I want to give credit to all of the staff that were involved in that, but particularly to Kathy Reinheimer, who I know played a very key role in making the site more usable for our veterans, all of our city's residents who were able to participate more completely in what I thought was an outstanding Remembrance Day ceremony at the cenotaph. And on behalf of council, our deep thanks to all your staff and to you as well. Thank you all. A motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Asmussen, second by Councillor McDonnell to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. As is our custom, we will have a question period on any agenda items. It's up to 15 minutes of questions. Are there any questions on tonight's agenda? Please come forward.
Maggie Moss, 1550 Tanglewood Lane, Coquitlam. I just have a question on the last item on the agenda, the public hearing. I was very concerned that the Coquitlam meeting is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I called Metro today and asked them why we had to have it at 1 o'clock, because quite a few of us can't attend. And I was told that one of the directors had specifically asked for the meeting in Coquitlam to be in the afternoon, and that's why it was done.
Well, I know that's not the case.
Well, I'm only telling you what I was told by Metro, and so I asked them if we could perhaps look at doing an evening meeting, and they said no, because already everything's been submitted to the newspapers, and we won't be able to change that. So
what you're telling me is that the staff at Metro are more important than the people who are on the committee, because that didn't happen. I'm going to ask Councillor Asmussen whether that's how it happened.
There was no direction from the Coquitlam directors to have a 1 o'clock meeting. That was not on at all. That did not come from us, and I don't know which director would make that commitment in this area. Unless you can talk to POCO or Port Moody, but from us, no, we preferred it in the evening, and we were surprised in why it was there. I think Mayor Stewart was. There
has always been a move to have at least one of the meetings at each one of these sorts of things, whether it's a solid waste management plan or others, in an afternoon, so that a variety of people if people couldn't work, if people only work in the evenings, they could traveled to Burnaby or wherever that meeting is in the afternoon. But there was never any request that Coquitlam's meeting, or at least I didn't make a request that Coquitlam's meeting would be in the afternoon.
Well, they seem
and now
pretty
I'm making
sure.
a request, and I wasn't, oddly enough, I made a request today, and no one said no. They didn't say no. We've already made the decision, Mayor Stewart, that we're not going to acquiesce to your request. So I'm surprised that they said no to you.
Are these minutes minuted, or?
Well, all minutes, yeah, yes, they're minuted. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just saying it's really frustrating for many of us. I mean, there have been council meetings where we've been told that there's a lot of misinformation, people are being misinformed, and there are some of us who've read this report from this latest draft from beginning to end, and we feel that pretty well this is the last kick at the can, you know, because this is probably going to be the last public hearing. So it's really important that there's been so much discussion from the plateau and all over, you know, saying that people are really concerned about this. And this is our one opportunity to get out there and have our say. And I don't see why, if I can't make an afternoon meeting, why I have to go all the way to North Vancouver or...
We agree. Right now we're trying to work with the regional government to see if we can establish an evening meeting, or to see at the very least whether the current notice precludes an evening meeting, because the notice says only that the meeting will start at 1 o'clock. It doesn't say that the meeting will end at 4 or that the meeting will end before 7. So is it possible then to continue the meeting on, adjourn for dinner, but continue the meeting on into the evening, even though some of the original advertising only called the afternoon meeting?
Yeah.
There are evening meetings in other communities, but I recognize that that makes it more difficult. It was never anyone's intent here, that I know of, to not have an evening meeting. And in fact, they're having a Coquitlam meeting because we insisted that one of the meetings be in Coquitlam. So now there is a little bit of frustration on this end because we insisted that one of the meetings be in Coquitlam. We're now getting the backlash that the meeting in Coquitlam happened to be the one that they put in the afternoon.
So you didn't, as vice chair of that committee, you didn't have any input into the timing at all? You just had to take what staff offered you?
The timing came before the committee. I don't recall actually whether this particular timing of this particular meeting came before the committee. My recollection was that the times that came before the committee were all 7 o'clock. There was one of the meetings I didn't make, though.
Okay. My one other comment on this whole process is that I listened to council talking about the dreadful waste of money within Metro Vancouver, yet we have to book a hotel to do this public meeting. That's an awful lot of money. We had a town hall meeting at Dogwood. There's all sorts of facilities here that I'm sure Metro could have got a lot cheaper. And I don't know whether this was just Metro going off and saying we'll spend some more of the taxpayers' money.
I don't know. They appear to always book hotels, and I suspect it's possibly because they don't want to be showing favoritism among communities, because if they booked council chambers in Port Moody, then Coquitlam might get upset or whatever. But I don't know what...
The bottom line is it's taxpayers' money.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree entirely.
But they were just my 2 points.
I agree entirely. It is a frustration that all of us on council share.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly with this issue, where there have been hundreds of people who've been concerned about it, it would be nice if we could actually go in our own community and talk about it.
I absolutely agree.
Okay, then.
We're working hard to get that to happen. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you all for coming.
What are you doing?